gentle with me. This is honestly a brand new company. Obviously in this Canadian market, which has been a very difficult market for natural resources in general, there are a lot of really intriguing opportunities, and Greenridge had a couple of interesting projects. We had the potential to earn 100% of the Carpenter project, which is just south of the Athabasca Basin, obviously prolific jurisdiction, which you're all probably here because of, or largely here because of. And then we had another project called Nut Lake, just not too far actually from Atha's producing asset in Nunavut, just outside of the Thelon Basin. We'd been doing some trenching, which actually had gone very, very well up in the Thelon Basin. There were some historical holes of very, very high grade. And we did release just recently some really, really positive news out of that asset. I always punish myself when I say literally our geos were saying it was off the Richter scale, but legitimately it was, grab samples and trenching off the Richter scale, very similar to F3. We're waiting on, obviously, those results, and you never, ever, ever can guarantee a successful grab or assay as a result of something that reads on a spectrometer at well off in any of the readings. But we're obviously very, very anxious about that. While we were working with ALX, Warren, who's an awesome guy, just sitting over there, we recognized, in our opinion, a diamond in the rough. ALX, like many Canadian entities, had a great strategy. They'd accumulated a lot of really, really interesting assets. I'm just going to take you to a picture here. Legitimately 28 projects, but 15 uranium projects, 12 of which are actually in the Athabasca Basin. And ALX had kind of been orphaned, not because of bad management, not because of anything other than a really, really complicated market, which we all find ourselves in. And we saw an opportunity to approach Warren, and ironically, before we even had a chance to approach Warren, Warren approached us and said, look, we like how you guys operate. You're respectful, you're good people. Maybe there's a way we can do something. And so literally just this last week, we announced definitive. You'll note a lot of insider buying, including myself, post that definitive. And we think that this company has the potential to deliver some really, really outstanding rewards, just given our current market cap, what the new company is going to look like, the amount of insider ownership. Myself, I own close to 8%. One of my partners, Mike Parmer, owns close to 8%. And we have full support, almost 100% support from the ALX side for this transaction. So we find ourselves in what we love to call that 4-month plan of arrangement, sort of dead period. But the good news is we have been working with Jody DeRouge. Carpenter, we have a ton of work that we got done at Carpenter. We also are waiting on those results, as I mentioned, from Nut Lake, which, the Thelon Basin is a fantastic jurisdiction. I've had the privilege, I guess you could call it that, of actually working in Nunavut before. It's brutal. Grade is king, obviously, but if you actually can get the grade, it becomes a really, really interesting operating jurisdiction. This is what the pro forma structure is going to look like after this deal. You can see the market cap will be reasonable. We do have decent cash on hand. It's probably about $1 million, $1.5 million of hard, probably closer to 2 in flow, so we actually can continue to operate while we are in the quiet period, obviously with the plan of arrangement. But really, truly, where I think you're going to see some delivery of value, because let's be honest, that's what everybody wants here. They want to find the winners. They want to find the gems that no one's paying attention to. We're going to be spinning out all of the gold projects. We'll be spinning out all of the nickel projects and all of the lithium projects. So embedded within our current cap structure are theoretically 2 other companies which you would be a beneficial owner of. which I think is always smart, right? Like I've seen so many times in my capital markets experience where you have companies that are running multi-asset strategies, and unless you're like an Agnico or you know one of the majors, often you never ever get a full reward for a uranium company carrying gold assets or a uranium company carrying nickel assets or whatnot. So all of that will be spun out. But also, it's really, really interesting and should be of note that we do have some quite high quality projects that we've picked up from ALX due to their hard work, due to Warren's staking ability. A lot of it has to do with closeology, but obviously you can see Black Lake, 40% ownership with UEC, and then the Hook Carter project, 80-20 with obviously Denison. That one we do have really, really high hopes on. Obviously Denison does as well. But you know, I could go on and on and on about the other projects. We just don't have time here in this forum to get into detail about the 12 other projects, as well as, you know, obviously exactly what we're doing at Nut Lake, the Carpenter Shear, Carpenter Lake, and what Jody DeRouge and his team are doing. So really what I just wanted to do here today is honestly open up a catalyst for some questions, show you basically the new company that's on the street. You can see here what our land position is going to look like relative to some of the other larger players, whether it's Canalaska, Sky Harbor. Obviously ATHA seems to be the leader in at least this space, but it'll be the 6th largest uranium exploration portfolio in the Athabasca Basin, and market cap wise substantially lower obviously than Canalaska and Sky Harbor. Thankfully, sitting with a decent cash balance, both flow through and hard, which obviously all of you want to see, obviously critical to any ability to continue to execute. And you know, if I was to take a stab at where I think things need to go in this jurisdiction, you know, we've seen it in the gold space. You've seen it in other hot commodities. We haven't seen a uranium bull market for quite some time, you know, back to, you know, mid 2004, 2006. But when you're looking at what's happening with Microsoft, you're looking at what's happening with the US government, you're looking at the fact that they legitimately have no uranium production whatsoever. All of you are all familiar with this. And then you have ostensibly 2 of the most prolific uranium jurisdictions in North America, both in what I believe will be the Thelon Basin and of course Athabasca Basin. You're probably going to need to see some consolidation. There's too many of us, whether it's us consolidating, whether it's other people consolidating us. I think you're looking at some really interesting opportunities in this basin, both from an exploration perspective, but also from a consolidation perspective, which I think does make sense given just how bad the capital markets are right now. Obviously, I think you're going to see a change in the flow of funds, hopefully with a turnaround in the tech market to a certain extent. But you're looking at a legitimate land package here. You're looking at a very reasonable market cap in the combined companies. A lot of insider ownership. I will continue to keep on buying. That is kind of something that I tend to always do with anything that I'm involved in. And you know, it's going along a little bit faster than probably most presentations here, but the reality is we are the new guy. It's a new merge co where we legitimately just signed the definitive. We're in the plan of arrangement, which obviously takes a good solid 4 months. But we will have news coming both from Nut Lake and from Carpenter. And I think, like I said, you're going to see some interesting valuation opportunities just from where we sit on a land package basis, as well as very, very importantly, the SpinCos that you'll be able to get long. And some of those gold assets are actually really, really intriguing. Kudos to Warren and the ALX team for chasing on those. There's been some recent discoveries right by them that no one's paying attention to. And so once that happens, I think you'll also see some incremental valuation creation. I don't really want to get into the strategic metal plays. Obviously, nickel has been a very interesting commodity. I actually was on the board of Canada Nickel. I think nickel has an incredible future, but because of how thin a commodity it is, it does get messed around quite a bit on the nickel exchanges. But just purely from the EV trade, obviously nickel should be something of interest, and obviously we'll be spinning these out, as I mentioned, along with some copper projects and some gold projects. So what are you getting? Honestly, a brand new company, probably a revaluation when this deal happens, 2 new SpinCos, of which I think people will be pretty impressed with the nickel potential and the gold potential. We can raise money, which is a good thing in this market. It's something me and the team have been able to do through any company we've been involved in. And then obviously Warren and team sticking with us. This is a friendly transaction, so yes, we've gone definitive, and there's always risks associated with deals, but when it's friendly and you've got support of the other shareholders, you are looking at a pretty interesting capital opportunity. And the one other thing I will add is that the management team of GXP has entered into 3-year lockups. That's something that I don't see a lot of management teams do. We believe in what we're doing. We want to consider ourselves par or even less than par with our shareholders who are putting their money in the market. We believe in what we're doing. We're happy to do that. So I think you're also dealing with a management team that is very, very committed to the success of the company. And so with that, I'm gonna open it up to questions. It is a new company. Please, like I said, be gentle. I may need Warren to answer some of the questions. But thank you very much for your time, and fire away.
Okay. Thank you very much, Russell. Red Cloud is an advisor to ALX, so with that we are restricted, so therefore I cannot answer.
That's
I cannot
awesome,
ask
actually.
any questions.
That's better.
But with that said, I do open it up to the floor. Anybody that is not Red Cloud can ask questions. So.
Please.
Do you still have that nickel project to the north of the basin that near Cobalt that Warren used to talk about a fair amount?
Yeah, we do. It will be part of the SpinCo. We look.
Consider that part of your strategic metals.
It's part of the strategic metals. What I will say is, while our intention is to do SpinCos, we are obviously also open to business for other ideas associated with the base metal projects and the gold projects. Typically in these situations, as everyone knows, you get there's no value for the nickel in the current share price. There's no value for the gold, and there's no value for the copper. So if anyone here has interest, it sounds like you actually know the project well, but if anybody has interest in any particular assets that makes sense from a value creation perspective and from a board and management perspective of NewCo, we would absolutely entertain communications. We are a very friendly management team, and believe that yes, we have some winners in these capital markets, but to a large extent, this has been a brutal market, and we all have to work together to help each other create value. So I don't know if that's where you were going, but I just want to throw out that it doesn't necessarily have to be a SpinCo. That's, in our mind, that just makes the most sense right now. First thing we got to do is close the deal, obviously.
Do you know if Cobalt has found anything up there? I haven't. They're private, so you don't.
Yeah, no. That one I had to look at Warren. No, nothing has been found. Doesn't mean it won't be found, but no, nothing as of yet.
Any other questions? No?
Look,
okay.
Thank you very much. I know it's a little bit of a different presentation, but I do appreciate you sitting through it, and hopefully the next time I'm here I've got a lot more meat on the bone and more to talk about. But again, thank you for your time.